Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. And the first item is approval of the agenda. If you have it in front of you on the computer.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, no changes needed. Okay, we got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The agenda, approval of board minutes, and I'm sure you've looked over them because there are several sets. Last month was a busy month. So, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, for the record, I need to abstain from the meetings I was absent at. I cannot.
And Lisa, she's got you.
She got
Move
it.
approval.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So we have the
Am I the only
meetings.
ones?
A lot of them. And that carries me to a motion for closed session.
I move that we go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A1 to prevent disclosure of confidential personnel files under General Statute 115C-321 and in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the board, which privilege is hereby acknowledged.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to go into closed session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're now back in open session, and the first item up is to approve the personnel agenda, which was just discussed.
Move approval.
Are you going to do a separate issue? That's up to you.
No.
You don't want to, you're saying no. Okay. As discussed, and did I hear a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did I hear a second? Okay, what have I heard?
I made a motion to accept it.
Okay. Is anybody going to second his motion?
Don't let it die.
There's a lot of people on, let's pull that, okay, let's back. Can you pull that back out for a second? And we'll accept.
Yeah.
What is that number?
6A.
6A, we're going to approve, we're now looking for a motion to approve the personnel agenda with minus 6A, which we'll take a separate vote on. Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay, now do I hear a second? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now, I'd like to hear a motion on approval of item 6A. Do I hear a motion? I'm going to give you 3 chances. Do I hear a motion? And I guess I don't hear a motion. Okay, item fails for lack of a motion to pass. All right, moving on to 5.2. And that would be Ms. Lilly for an alternative accountability model. Whatever, and I'm sure she's here to explain to us what that is.
This is the accountability model for EdTech that we use every year. It has to be approved in order for us to send it to the Department of Public Instruction. In the past, we have used option C for alternative schools progress model. And the first year that they were involved in this program, they were at a maintaining level. The second year they went declining, and this third year will be out on September 7th. But we feel like they have progressed as well. So we're looking forward to seeing that on September 7th, if that's the case. The progress model is persistence, 20% persistence, 20% school achievement, and 60% growth. And this would be going into the 4th year if this is approved for option C.
Gotcha.
Move
Okay.
approval.
Do I hear a
Second.
Okay, anyone have any questions of Ms. Lilly? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No. All right, thank you.
All right,
That
thank
was
you.
quick. That was almost too quick. Next item up is Mark Dawn, I believe, is going to explain to us something about beginning teacher support plans.
Yes, this is our annual request to approve the beginning teacher support plan. Every year, the State Board of Education, one of the things that each school system is required to do is get the board to approve how we work with our beginning teachers. Our beginning teacher support plan follows the state board policy in terms of who's required to participate, which teachers don't participate, how beginning teachers are observed, what their professional development plan looks like, how we work with them for our beginning teacher induction, the mentor assignments, how we choose the mentors, and then how we overall take an evaluation of the beginning teacher support program at the end of the year. This year, the only major change in the past, the General Assembly had changed the rules for mentors and tied being a mentor to your evaluation and your test scores. That policy has actually been relaxed to allow to no longer tie it to student test scores and to allow more leniency in the evaluation. You still have to be proficient or better, but at one point it had been all accomplished or nothing, which is a high rating for a lot of people, any teacher across the state to receive. So that actually helped us and helped all school systems. So
Okay.
just ask that the board approve this plan.
Any
So moved.
questions? Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? Any questions for Mark on this? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, you're still up.
That's right.
Disposal of
He's a
surplus
car salesman.
property.
That's right.
I think I can tell you how to dispose of them. I already told you how.
There are two parts to this. The local government property transactions rule requests that if you want to get rid of surplus property, which these cars and trucks would certainly fall under the category of surplus property, that the local Board of Education has to approve. There are different methods that you can approve. The easiest method that we believe and would ask your approval is that instead of approving each one as sold, that you would approve them, you would approve of the procedure where we would try to get fair market value for all property sold and have one official charged with disposing of the property, which we would keep a record and keep an account of how that worked. The vehicles in question, I asked our Director of Transportation to provide. You can see that there's a list of each vehicle, the Kelly Blue Book value, and then our asking price based on certain defects, mileage, et cetera. And if the board approves this, then basically we would sell these vehicles, try to get as close to the asking price as possible, knowing that we may not always get there. And that would be the procedure, instead of coming back to you one at a time and saying, this is the offer we have, are you okay with this offer?
We're not gonna be spending money to try to advertise this.
I believe we will be parking these vehicles in front of the transportation building with a for sale
For sale
sign.
signs on.
A yard sale kind of.
What about the use of gov deals?
And we can also list them on there, which is generally an auction site that we have to do for county property.
Right.
State property is a little bit different, as long as we're getting the fair market value and we can show that.
You can actually probably make a little more money this way.
You could.
Okay.
Because you don't give the percentage to
Right.
gov deals.
Okay. You're making a good start here.
I'm trying to clear them out.
I was just looking at some of the age and mileage on them. So. Okay, I have no problem with that. So what's the board's pleasure?
Move approve, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
All right.
Sell on.
Thank you
But
very
Mark gonna
much.
sit out there in a chair and an umbrella.
Put the streamers
Get you a
in.
table and a yard
That's
sale
right.
sign.
You gonna have that floppy man going up and down?
Whatever it takes to get rid of that.
There's
crown
always the
vic.
vote for yard sale online.
That's right. That's also free. If it's free advertising, we'll take it.
Him and Jerry's gonna take turns out there.
Yeah, can't believe that happened. Calendars, must be something updated or whatever.
We had the one day missed last week for weather, and what I'd like to ask is that we can replace that day on our calendar for both the early college and the traditional school calendar. The 13th of October is an optional work day. We would move that to last week and move the day that we missed to the optional work day. I feel like we need to hold on to our hours and not run through anything until we get a better idea of what the winter is going to look like.
Don't we have a couple of half-days in there?
We have some early release days, but you can't pick up enough hours for that, and they're going to use those for professional development.
And staff has already paid for those days. so
That's
they-
the other issue, or your staff that wouldn't get a paycheck if we don't do this.
Oh. The gray days that are marked as, I guess, professional development,
Early release days.
are they teacher work days or?
They're early, the gray ones are early release days, generally 2 hours early.
Okay.
And the green ones are your optional teacher work day. And the reason that's optional, a teacher who's accumulated leave is able to use them on those days if they wish, as opposed to being a required teacher work day.
I guess if I scroll down and look at the legend, I'd have seen that.
So
It's still
if
a lot of
we-
colors.
If we go all day on Thursday, September 14th, and all day on Thursday, October 5th, we wouldn't pick up enough hours to make a
You
difference?
pick up 4 hours.
And how many do you have to go if you went half a day to
You
count?
generally
as
get
a
about
full-
6.5 in a full day.
Yeah, we'd have to do about
But
4 days.
the other issues, those 2 early release days, they've already got professional development scheduled, so we'd have to reschedule professional development at some other point.
I don't know if you got a lot of options, but I was just
But
gonna ask.
the other issue, though, is that if we don't make that day up, you've got hourly employees that aren't going to get paid for that day.
Right. Is there a conflict with that, a school or anything on that day, the 13th?
Yeah, that was the one that the principal
Isn't it
asked us
Easter?
about last week.
Yes, at Easter.
Yeah. Anyway,
So what do we do?
What was the conflict? I'm not aware of.
they have their school-wide event on that Thursday night, and they scheduled that because they knew there would not be school on Friday. So now they've already got all their flyers and everything printed, but now
Can't
they'll have to
change
change it.
Well, we have. I
They'll
don't know
they'll
if
have
they'll
to
be able
change it, well, I think
Well, you
they'll have to
or-
make a decision on what if they're gonna change it or end it early. They can't start it early because,
There's nothing in November or
yeah,
either
I don't
one
see
to
we have a lot of
to
options.
do it, and we better make it up before December, because then we'll be getting into weather-related issues again.
Sure don't know what you're gonna have there.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be a full day. We have it scheduled as a full day, but at the end of the year, we have to have 185
Right.
instructional days or 1,025 hours. And we've not been in school for 10 days yet, and I just hate the idea of burning up hours right now. We may need them later on.
Why is October 31st got a line through it?
I think it's the end of a grading period.
I was trying to, okay, I see a line through it, it's just not in gray.
Well, would
Okay.
that help that school out on the 13th, to have a half a day?
Probably not, they need more in the morning.
That's what I
think
said,
is
they
what
gotta
they're-
get there.
Oh.
Yeah, they gotta come in the
Okay.
morning, that's too
Might as
much
well
to
be there
worry
all day.
about,
That's
yeah.
Right, okay, sorry.
What's the board's pleasure?
Move approval.
Second.
Unless ideas of anybody's. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I don't know what to do about it. It's not gonna be happy with us.
No,
Okay, there's us in no action, and you're now up. And this ought to be very short, because I've already looked over your file, and there's not much on here. Not much to worry
Not
about.
much to work with.
I'm gonna open up the 16-17 first.
Yes, sir.
I'll just go in that order.
Yep.
And I think the only one to talk about is the first one, and you've already told us the door's ordered.
The door's ordered, and they're gonna put a temporary door up tomorrow. We had a slab in stock, and they cut the hinge plates this afternoon, and they're gonna put that, fire-rated door in. It doesn't match the existing door, but we'll have a door in place tomorrow.
And you've had the frame up for.
The frame's been up since the
That's all.
first week the teachers came back. It was up that Tuesday. Any questions about the 16, 17?
Everything else except for a few of the little alarm stuff was done. So
Completed, yes,
I don't-
sir.
Anybody have any questions for Stan? There's nothing left. Okay, I open the next one up. And you can go through.
And it's
it.
basically just giving you an update of where we're at on it. The two south side compressors and the northeast compressor are in and running. All that's up and working.
And if I can interrupt for a second, if you look at item 13, because as Stan said, we've already done those compressor replacements. Really, on items with a blank line at 13, everything above that are projects that we've got funding from the commissioners to do. Everything else below that is contingent on that loan going through. So obviously, those have been put on hold until we have that. So really, from item row 4 down to row 12 is what we really have to work with right now. So we're working on those.
Correct.
Okay.
That's it. That's the entire list for right now.
We'll have 2 RFPs out tomorrow. I think Ms. Lisa will get the other one out. And then I will have the other ones to her by the end of this week, where they can go out. So that'll just about complete our
Okay.
capital projects.
I know we've already talked about it, but 11 and 11 and 12, we've got the budget and then the quote. What does that mean? Does that mean
That was
to do
budgeted
work?
from the canopy we did away
Right,
with last meeting from Eastern
Right.
Elementary,
Right.
and y'all approved GW Walker to do 2 awnings. Mr. Randy's still working on that.
Okay, because that's what I was wondering. I guess
He
my
actually
question-
submitted a thing to me Friday, and then we had some questions about one of the awnings. Dr. Phillips and I talked about it, and I went back and met it with him today, and he's gonna work on getting that together.
I mean, I guess my question was the money enough to cover, and if not, where would
Well,
we be?
the
at?
first
That's
bid
what-
he gave us, it was
that's what
just
you're working
under
on.
it, so
Okay,
we're
all
doing a
right.
little revision to make it fit the sidewalk, and
Gotcha.
he's working with the engineer to make sure it will hold the snow load.
Okay.
But I'll have it next time for you.
Well, everything else is RFPs or waiting for RFPs.
That's right.
Okay,
And on hold then, but-
yep. Any questions for Stan on anything else? Can't
Is this
leave them
sheet
out.
good to explain everything?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
I'll
That's fine.
keep it up to date.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
What are
I'm
you
just
gonna do
trying to
this
think
year?
of something to ask you. I hate to let you out that easy. I gotta come up with some kind of question or something. What does?
But that's
What's
what I'm
gonna
gonna do the rest of the
rest of the
year.
year?
If they finance my other projects, I'll have some more to do.
I was gonna say, regular maintenance ought to be caught up really good in the
Yeah.
schools, so.
We've hit that budget hard too, so.
Stan, I do have a question. Our custodial staffs throughout our school systems, are they having any difficulties, or is all the equipment working, or the floor?
Yes,
have the
ma'am,
floors been done?
we've had some issues, we've spent some money on some equipment, we've bought some new equipment, we've ordered a carpet cleaner, we've ordered some things, I got some vacuum cleaners coming. We do have some aged equipment, so we're
Yeah,
buying
I've
out
heard
the
some
maintenance
rumblings,
department right now, because
yeah,
there was nothing
nothing
funded,
bad,
so
just-
we're buying it out of the maintenance fund.
Yeah, I was gonna say, some of that got cut, that was what got cut
It
out.
got cut, but I gotta keep replacing equipment, they use that stuff every day. And they had old equipment when I came here, and some of them still have old equipment, but something as simple as a vacuum cleaner and the HEPA requirements now, and the kids that are so sensitive, we need the vacuums with HEPA filters in them, and so we don't stir that dust. And
And I have a lot of people that ask me, and I already know the answer, but just publicly, who do the custodians of each school, who do they answer to? The principal? of
directly
that
to the
school?
principal, yes, ma'am. I make sure they get their education and the supplies and things that they need. I look over that side of it, but they direct report to the principal daily.
Okay, thank you.
Any issues with the custodial supplies? I know we had some issues with that.
We've worked through them, we still have a couple issues with a couple of materials that are not up, and they're trying some other products, but all in all, yes, they've improved.
Is this the gentleman out of Lumberton? Or
No, they're out of
Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill, Hillsborough area, yes.
He used to be up top of the line, but something, whatever.
Well, we just had some delivery issues. We were short of some toilet paper, some other things at the end of last year, and they've set their supplies up. They were cutting us too close, and
Okay.
we had to go borrow stuff from one school. We had the stuff here, but we had to pull from one school to supply another school. And so we work with them. We give them a closet they can put some supplies in. Dr. Phipps approved that. And I give them a closet at EdTech that they can put some supplies in to have in case we get short. Right there the last week, we were short some wax, but they brought it in overnight, and they went and borrowed some from another client or whatever, but they got the materials here, told them what we had to have to finish up, so.
I know we also switched waste companies contract.
Yes, sir.
That working out?
Since we've got the John Cotton Taylor and Eastern corrected to 3 dumps a week, just worked great.
Everything.
They just generate so much trash with those juice and those kids,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely, had not
Good.
had a call in months, so
Good.
Good enough.
Good enough.
they've been on it.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. See y'all.
Okay, now we're back to Willie McCarroll, who wants to just give us a 1-minute update on the local current
No
expense
pressure.
budget.
No pressure.
I know he wants to, so.
We're in the process, we've got 9 employees vacancies still outstanding that we're gonna be filling within the local budget. Hopefully, within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we will have everything plugged in and all the dollars spread. We're looking at doing multiple year averages to try to true up to get the expenditures where we need to have them for operations. We may, right now, we're looking at about $240,000, $250,000 shortfall. Part of that has to do with asking for fundings to cover class size reductions, even though Mark and Greg worked their magic trying to utilize federal dollars to meet those state requirements for classroom teachers. We're still going to fall up short, and we'll have to pick those up in local.
Okay. Any questions? If not, thank you very much. Okay. Mark, I believe now would like to give us a FEMA update.
Yes, sir. You may remember Hurricane Matthew back in October
Yes.
of last year. So we have been submitting paperwork to FEMA on and off since that time to get reimbursement for certain things. There were 2 separate issues. One was there was a classroom at Northside High School that, based on the way the classroom was situated and the land surrounding it, the water pooled up against the window and then kind of leaked in and damaged some of the tile. And we used our in-house excavator and maintenance department to level off the ground to make sure it doesn't happen again. So FEMA has reimbursed us for the use of that excavator and the man hours. They've also given us the money to now bid out the tile replacement job. So it would not be a capital project because it's not coming out of capital funds, it's coming out of FEMA funds, but we'll follow the same procedure. We'll post it up for bid like we normally do any other project, but we'll have FEMA money to pay to replace the tile. Of course, we'll have to find somebody to do the work now that school's back in session.
Right.
Weekends or over a holiday, but we will be able to fix the tile that's in the classroom. So that's one, that amounted to a combined check for $5,000 that we'll be receiving. The second check for $8,024.70 covers fuel expenses, overtime issues for those employees who work in the shelters, both custodians and child nutrition folks that we paid out, and other funds that were related to anybody in overtime or maintenance debris removal, for example, anything that was above and beyond our contract with the company that mows the yards and things like that, does landscaping.
Gotcha.
So we'll also be receiving that. They'll go back in the general fund, money we expended during the hurricane.
Good deal.
So, and we'll be done with FEMA at that point.
Got any questions?
Have we ever got our money from the county about the
For
shelter?
reimbursing the shelter? I just knew somebody was gonna ask that, and I probably could answer, but
Well,
I'm
put
gonna let
it on your
somebody
list of
else.
things to do.
I'm gonna let somebody else answer that.
I've not worked with the county any. I've been working with FEMA.
But I think he knows which storm I'm talking about. You
You
know
know about
that one.
Pre-Matthew?
No.
No.
No,
It's,
it's further back.
Is it been, we
Irene.
I think it's Irene.
It was
It's an ice
Irene.
storm.
Yeah.
Might be
It
getting
was
a
like
little ice storm.
$20-some thousand.
It was Irene.
That was an extended period.
You want me to forget it, don't you?
No, I don't. Look, I want the money, but that's a but question, so.
It don't hurt to ask again.
I think we
Bring
need
it
to
up
build
with
that
them
as a
again.
line item in moving forward, and then if we don't use it, we just carry it over. But
I
we
think
have that.
you're right on.
There you go.
Oh.
That's a good way to handle that. Okay, Mark, don't go anywhere. I see you're up to tell us about a teacher
Yes, sir.
assistant and teacher pilot program.
During the 16-17 school year, there were a handful of school districts that were awarded by the General Assembly grants to give up to 5 teacher assistant scholarships of $4,500 per academic year over 4 years to have teacher assistants that met certain requirements. I've listed them here, that if they met those requirements, then they could, in the school system, would enter into a memo of understanding with wherever the teacher assistant went to school, as long as it's an in-state school, that they would be refunded tuition and given an opportunity to go as long as they went back to school, of course, to be a teacher. For the 17-18 school year, Beaufort County was added to this pilot program, so this will be our first year. So what we've come up with is a procedure for interested teacher assistants. I've already sent an email out to all of our staff to ask to kind of get an idea of interested folks. Certainly priority would definitely go to those folks who are already enrolled in a program because they're that much further along. Now it says $4,500 for 5 TAs per academic year for 4 years, but this is a year by year. So we can only promise we have the money right now for this school year. The General Assembly would have to reauthorize this again and again, even though it says up to 4 years. It's only a 1-year money deal. So we have created an application process for folks to complete that are interested. One of the hurdles that I see a lot of our teacher assistants go back to school online. If they do that, that online has to be in-state. And a lot of our folks tend to get the out-of-state online programs. The only way to receive this is if you're doing it in-state. So, but we have an application process and then a way of choosing those finalists that may or may not include interviews if we have to get down to that. Hopefully we'll be awarding those for some, and again, priority to those folks who are already in the pipeline who are also already in school. So hopefully we increase the number of teachers.
Okay.
Just want to make you aware of that.
I mean, basically, that's all you're doing is just giving us a FYI.
Yes, sir.
You don't need, I know it's not an action item, but you won't even be bringing it back to us.
That's right.
Okay, well, you're still up. Voluntary transfer policy.
So the board had asked Dr. Phipps and myself to speak to this. Policy 7440, assignments, reassignments, and transfers. And the policy is not clear about a deadline, because we had talked about a deadline. The way the policy is written, in theory, an employee who wanted to voluntarily transfer would have to submit in writing no later than June 30th that they wanted a transfer request, the school and the position sought, and their qualifications. And then it says the superintendent would then establish any other procedures. But saying that I want to transfer doesn't mean that there's a specific job available by June 30th. It just means I'm interested in a transfer. In the 3 years I've been in Beaufort County Schools, what I can tell you is that our folks are not going to put their names on a list unless they know there's a definite job.
Right.
They just aren't going to say, I'm looking for a job, I'll wait for it to open up, but until then, just know I'm looking. That's not gonna happen.
I don't think so.
So the policy also doesn't have a deadline. It just says you have to have your name on the list by June 30th. It doesn't say that it doesn't matter what time the job comes open. So it doesn't really match the issue that we were facing. And then it follows up with transfer requests will not be honored during the school year unless approved by both site administrators and superintendents. So it kind of gives you an out,
Right.
even if you go beyond the date that you would have signed up for this mythical list, because if both principals agree and the superintendent agrees, you can still then go forward. I've spoken with our principals at length. The feedback that I've received honestly is, while one principal may be the loser in a certain year, the vast majority do not want a date. I wouldn't say the vast majority, I would say everyone I've spoken to, unless they're just hiding that fact, that they don't want a date to say, because you're entering into this. So if we say that I have to find a job if I want to transfer by June 30th, for example, just pick a date at random, I live in the Snowden area and a job comes open, but I've been traveling up to Chocowinity, I could finally stay in Snowden, but that job comes open August 1st, that I've missed the deadline, it may not come open again.
Right.
And so, at the same time, on the flip side, if I'm the kids at that school, I'm happy that I haven't lost my teacher, and the principal's happy I haven't lost my teacher. But, so you're kind of balancing the employee desire to transfer versus trying to fill that position. So, at this point, our procedure is that if I'm going to apply for a transfer that's a lateral move, teacher to teacher, or whatever the case may be, it's not a promotion, then if I secure an interview, I go to my current principal and I let them know. But we have basically said, as long as school hasn't started, then even if we're all the way into August, which does put our principals in a bind sometimes, where we've allowed them to transfer. During the year, that has been less prevalent in the 3 years that I've been here. I can think of only really one, because we were able to find a quick replacement. Otherwise, what we've said is it's the middle of the year, we just have not allowed that to happen. And that's usually the superintendent, that part of the policy that says the superintendent does not approve, even if both administrators have. So, we're still working with our principals, but we,
Just leave it as is. So you're basically saying everybody kind of wants to just leave it as it is?
that's the understanding from our folks, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, anybody have any questions about that? Yeah, I'm not gonna push it if they don't want it.
No, and I can see both sides. I can see, just like you say, one principal's winning, the other one's losing, and, you put the shoe on the other foot, and, anyway, I don't know what else you can do.
Well, a good employee is a happy employee. So
Exactly.
If
If somebody
employees-
wants to go somewhere and they don't want to be working for me, then I'd rather them.
Right, well,
Go there
that's what
anyway.
I say, I always
Don't
say.
wanna be penalized.
And I think for most of ours, it's usually about distance, honestly.
Exactly,
Okay. All right.
and what you said at the beginning, sometimes they may have wanted to go to a neighboring
Move on.
school for years, but there hadn't been an opening in their field, so when one comes open, I don't blame them, no matter what time of year it is.
Okay, well, then we'll just let that go then, how about that? Okay, let's move on. Calendar updates?
We've got the 19th as our monthly board meeting for the month of September at 5:30. We also have the district level School Board Association meeting tomorrow at South Central High School, 4 to 8. Is that correct, Lisa?
What goes on with that?
Just a good update of issues and things that are on the minds of the School Board Association board members, political, legislative issues, any legal mandates or legal cases that have been heard. There's a variety of things that they talk about. They have some breakout sessions, some whole group meetings, and a meal.
If we're late to
You
the
can slip
initiative.
in. You can slip in.
Okay.
Yeah, what kind of meal?
Well, Matt, they've done a meal a couple of different ways.
What do we have?
Yeah, I let them go be right, but.
Oh, yeah, they normally look out for your meal.
Okay, I'll just leave that alone. Board member updates? Anybody? Seems like there ought to be something, but maybe not. Too early.
Terry,
Too early in the school
only thing
year.
I wanted to say is, I'd like to thank the Expo Committee for all their work, Lisa and Dr. Phipps and the others that serve on the committee. It's coming together really good. We're looking to have that's gonna be on
When was that? Yeah.
Thursday, November 2nd. It's gonna be in Williamston again.
It's a good place.
And right now, we know Craven County is gonna be added to the mix this year, and there's a possibility, right now, it looks like Nash County. We're just trying to get it nailed down. We'll have about 15 counties there.
And I want to add, I've heard some buzz throughout the communities that some of our students and some of our schools are soliciting a partnership, a pen pal, so to speak, with schools in Texas that have been closed for quite a while. And they're encouraging other people to reach out to those schools that have no supplies and are devastated and have no means right now to get going again. So I'm really thankful that we have some teachers and students reaching out for that.
Okay. Actually, I'm glad the meeting is pretty much over because we don't longer have a quorum. Did he leave or he left? Well, then I guess that's going to conclude this meeting.
Couple things, Sheriff, if you don't mind.
No, I don't, no action items. Okay.
Just,
Just
I
some
want
info.
That's right, this is info only.
just to thank you to our parents and our community for helping us make a back to school, smooth back to school. It's always anxiety and a lot of angst just to get through that process. And I think the open houses that we have are a huge success in
Yes.
terms of giving our adults and the students a chance to come together and get an idea of what to expect. It's also a proud moment for me to be able to announce the 2017 and 2018 Teacher of the Year and Principal of the Year. Folks, we awarded that last week. Teacher of the Year is Tabitha Robertson from the Early College High School. Congratulations to her. And Principal of the Year, Emily Pate from the Early College High School. Congratulations to her as well. They'll both be competing at the regional and hopefully state level to represent Beaufort County. And as Carolyn mentioned, we're going to kick off a drive to collect non-perishable food items, toiletry items, and even school supplies, which is not something that you think about for these children. In some of the schools hadn't started back until Labor Day, so they were not able to be in school for victims of Hurricane Harvey. And we'd like to ask folks to take those items to their school where they'll be collected or bring them to Central Services, and we'll do that. And our thoughts and prayers certainly go out to those impacted by Hurricane Harvey, and if you're watching the weather, those who will be impacted by Hurricane Irma, we certainly have you in our thoughts and prayers as well.
Okay. That's all the info you want to share?
Yes, sir.
Well, the one thing I am allowed to do when I don't have a quorum is to adjourn the meeting. So I won't even take a vote. I'll adjourn the meeting as the chairman, so you can just write it down that way.
Yeah, I can do that.